Andrikshararijavasantu pantha yevi sakhayo yanti no varenyam samaryamasam bhaguno niniyat samjasapatyam swayamastu deva. Shalmali Vishwarupam Hiranyavarnam Suvrutam Suchakram Aroha Surye Amratasya Lokam Syonam Patye Vahatum Krunusya.
Hello. What you've just seen is an example of some ancient Vedic culture, almost forgotten today in the whole world except for India. In the past as well as the present, the fire sacrifice used to be the heart of all Vedic ceremonies. Say, for instance, we would chant the name of the fire god Agni, and we would pour ghee onto the fire. As the flames rose, we would say, Om Agnayate Shaha, Om Agnayate Shaha. That word, Agnayate, if you'll please with me, Agnayate. That word, Agnayate, is the English word, ignite. So, Agnayate, whenever we initiate something, it's the same word. Initiate, ignite, Agnayate. It comes from the Vedic mantra to the fire god Agni. So how does the Vedic mantra end up in our English language? Well, that is indeed a mystery. But it's funny because many of our English words, plus our customs and so on, are indeed from the Vedic culture. What is the meaning of Veda? Oh, that meaning can be found. It means to know, simply, like the word Veda. Vera means to verify, like in the state of Veracruz, Mexico. It means the truth of the cross, or whatever, something like that. But it means basically knowledge, the truth, knowing, Vedic. Another Vedic ceremony which you've seen is the Vedic wedding, or what's known as the Vedin. Vedin, because why? It means the chanting of sacred Vedic hymns. Right? At every important ceremony, especially one where husband and wife are being bonding through and in the name of God, then of course it is considered a holy, auspicious, ritualistic activity, which includes the invitation and invocation of not only the gods, but the supreme God. So this is why it's very important at a wedding to have Vedic hymns. Okay, no more smiles, no laughing. Okay, no more smiles, no laughing.
Well, welcome to the show. This is my friend Vrn.
He's the expert here, and he's going to be giving us some knowledge about the Vedic Empire.
Hello, my name is Vrn, and
Stop. Start over again.
Thanks for, inviting me here, man.
Right.
It's like, I really love to talk about Vedic Empire and all that stuff.
Okay.
It's like, well, welcome to the show. My name is Khan Ananda, and this is my friend Vrn. He's the expert here, and he's going to be giving us some information upon the world Vedic Empire. Well, Mr. Vrn.
hello, my name is Vrn, and I'm very happy to be invited to speak on this subject. It's a very important subject that has been pretty much ignored by the modern historians for many different reasons. Basically, 5,000 years ago they tell us civilization was beginning, but the truth is 5,000 years ago civilization began a rapid decline. This civilization was called the Vedic civilization because it was based on the Vedic scriptures of actually world scriptures handed down by God to humanity at large. But India is the country that's managed to hold that knowledge close as possible to the truth. but we've come across evidences from many sources, linguistic, architectural, cultural, the list goes on, proving that this civilization was once worldwide, spread all over the world. If you go from culture to culture, you'll see that every one of these cultures has a common denominator.
They all speak of the ancient ones.
And there's like structures all over the world, from the pyramids to the aqueduct in Rome to the Stonehenge, of course. And then there's like, I have a book at home. It's literally 800 pages long. It's a list of many anomalies and puzzling artifacts that science has come across, archaeologists have found, that can't be explained, but they've just been ignored conveniently by the intellectual community. And it's like they're attached to Darwinism, all these theories that year after year keep falling apart.
Come from the missing link, I believe.
Yeah, where is the missing link?
Well, it's missing, obviously.
So basically what I'm saying here is that the evidences and the proofs that we have of a Vedic world empire are just as strong, and in many cases much stronger than the evidences that they have of Darwinism or what do they call it? The caveman. We're all Neanderthal
ancestral, theory. Yes, yes, and a lot of other theories like that. I believe today, that have been hidden. Say, like for instance, JFK or the Roswell incident and stuff like that. But we know a lot of things have been covered up. What to speak of world history?
That's an important one. It's like I read a good phrase the other day. It was saying, with our feet in the past and our vision in the future, we work in the present, and we build a better future that way. So if we have this myth and these hoaxes being taught to us in our schools, that we're all just cavemen, pretty much animals. It's like my daughter came home from school the other day telling me that, oh, Dad, we're all animals. And I'm like, no way, I'm not an animal, you're not an animal. It's like, but it's like they want to teach us this kind of,
well,
information.
People have no idea that the word animal comes from the Sanskrit word anima, which means pretty much the animation of things. So clues like that are hidden from us usually in our English, education, Western education. But go on, Mr. Brent. I'm sure you have more to say, so continue.
But the truth is, any sincere seeker of the truth will find the truth. And so if you sincerely look and you want to study and you have an open mind, the evidences of the Vedic world are all around us. Literally, you can go to every civilization on the planet, and you could, from the religious point of view, the linguistic point of view, the superstitions that different cultures have, it's like they're so similar everywhere you go. And some people say that's just a random coincidence that came up in history, that this culture, and also it's so awkward that they seem to come up with the same exact type of ideas on the other side of the planet at the same time, right?
Well, whoever came up with the random coincidence of whoever came up with the random coincidence of two eyes, two legs, and two arms, it's a pretty phenomenal random coincidence there. These things, but I guess nobody seems to notice how none of the human beings on the planet has ever stopped and think, well, is anyone smart enough to have made all these things? I mean, the scientists are trying very hard to duplicate the human form, but it has already been presented to us for the last so many thousands, millions of years, possibly. It's already been made, in other words. So, to just that alone is enough evidence that we have some common, ancestry.
And if you really think about it, the evidences proving the direct action of God on the planet and ancient civilizations that were founded on God consciousness, have much more value and validity than the evidences of the Big Bang Theory, the Neanderthal evolution, Darwinism, all of that. And a point I want to make is important is theories are welcome in the search for knowledge. Everybody has the right to come up with their ideas of history or any subject they're speaking or researching, but they cross the line when they take theories and they force them down people's throats, especially little children, and teach them as if they're facts, when a theory is something that's never been proven. And I think it's criminal that, you know.
I think it's called a post-dated check syndrome. If you work for us today, we'll definitely pay you next week. Don't you worry, money is coming. But right now, you should believe us that we're going to pay you.
Yeah, but the problem is they tell us believe this theory, then you read Time magazine next year, they'll have another theory.
Yeah, exactly. Right? You know, just like the dawn of man, this theory has been going on. Man has been dawning another time in another place, here and there. It's like
now it's China.
Now it's China. Last time it was Africa. I mean. Where's it going to be next, guys? I mean, give us something really good this time because we're waiting. We hope it's Pluto or Mars because we're looking forward to somebody taking it at least off the planetary, region here. Someplace new and exciting where Elvis would go. You know what I mean?
So basically on this show, we're going to destroy the Eurocentric racist theories that have been perpetuated for the past 200 years on the world. And we're going to prove that this Vedic civilization was worldwide. And a good important point to remember is that we're not saying Indian civilization. India is the blessed land that has been strong enough to hold on to these traditions and values over all these centuries and millennia. But that doesn't mean that the whole world was an Indian Hindu world. No, it's like the Vedic world goes beyond race. The Aryan thing goes beyond race. It's like it's a cultural thing. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, yellow, red, whatever race, male, female, whatever your status in life is. Everyone is part of this Vedic civilization.
Basically, what does the name Aryan mean then? We're talking about that.
That's a deep subject. Many people, especially in our day, take the Aryan to be a racist type of, something to do with racism or some kind of white Germanic race, even though in Germany they got, all kinds of races, not all blonde, blue-eyed. But from the evidence of the Vedas, where the term Aryan comes from, Aryan does not refer to a race, but it refers to a type of person who has achieved nobility through their lifestyle. Like Arya literally means noble. And for example, in the ancient times, and even presently in India in some cases, when a wife addresses her husband, she calls him Arya, which means like noble. So in general, it's like sir, something.
So the word Arii, that is used in the Polynesian language, also means noble. Could have some connection with this Aryan, of course.
Not could have, it does.
It is suspected by many scholars from the past, especially in the 19th century, that the Polynesians were linked pretty much directly with the Aryan society, especially since they have 4 castes. Their names are Sanskrit roots of their language. So it's pretty much, there's some definite evidence to suggest that they have some connection with the Aryan,
Yeah, I was reading too, King Kalakaua wrote in one book, he was saying he personally believes that the Polynesians came from South India, and he doesn't give a lot of evidence, but one point he does bring up is like in the Indian culture, the Vedic culture, and in the Polynesian culture, they both have the going away and arriving. They greet you with garlands, with legs, exchange of legs.
The name Aloha and Aroha and meaning love. I mean, it's very similar to also the Aryan tradition and the names that they use. So.
And then to go across the Pacific Ocean, you get to the Inca civilization. And who are the four founders of the Inca civilization? Imagine it's so close, it's like the letters are exactly the same. And these four, and then the Incas, Inca means the land of the sun, the people of the sun. And then if you go to Greece, what is another ancient name for Greece? Inakia, which means the land of the sun. And so on the whole other side of the planet, we have pretty much the same words, the same meaning, and the same type of people who are worshiping the sun.
With the same type of architecture, with the same deities, the sun god, the elephant god, which is one really strange thing considering it is in Mexico and South America.
Yeah.
They're wondering why there were no elephants here, but there are definitely elephant gods carved on their pyramids and things such like that. So they're starting to believe that these were spacemen. Of course, I think the people who are studying them are either spacemen themselves, or they're probably one of those Darwin missing link kind of people that haven't figured out that they're from somewhere else besides planet Earth like the rest of us. But yes, there's too many similarities that would point out that this is definitely there's a total connection amongst all the human beings and the living entities on this planet Earth, and therefore in the universe also. It would only make common sense, but nowadays common sense isn't very appreciated by much of us. So
Everybody they have these emotional belief systems.
Emotional, yes.
And it's like they're attached to the idea that the Americans are the best, right? So the Europeans, the English were the best, right? And that's the root. Why isn't it prevalent? Why isn't this knowledge known around the world that the Vedic civilization, which has been preserved in India, the best, was worldwide? And the reason is because the British, during their colonial empire days, purposely went out of their way to destroy as much evidence as possible, because they couldn't take the idea that a non-European race was actually the founder of a lot of the cultures of Greece, Rome, Egypt, Babylon, England itself. And so when they first came across Sanskrit, there were actually many scholars, who were real scholars, and they actually believed it. They saw this evidence and they accepted it. And so if you study and you see in the early 1800s, like up to the 1840s, most of the scholars of Europe, Germans, the French, the British, not most, but quite a few of them, presented the theory that all civilization, all religion, all culture sprung from Indian sources. Right? But then as time went on, as the British colonial empire increased, they realized that if we're spreading this information that the root of everything is from India and Egypt and like that, then how can we validate our right to conquer and control these people? And so they had to think of some rationale to make it
like the Aryan invasion.
Yeah, the Aryan invasion, and they were a white race anyway that somehow lived in the barren plains of southern Russia, right? And they're such, it's like India is so tropical. It has such resources for booming populations, and we're supposed to believe that this barren region of southern, Russia, Caucasus region sent out mass hordes of migrations of these people.
There's no evidence at all.
Yeah, the only evidence they have is based on the idea that how can these subhuman Asians been the source of knowledge? They must have got it from the whites, that's the whole thing.
black man, this is what they call it, the black man's religion is what they consider the Vedic religion, because there were so many dark-skinned people living over there. So for them, it was more like some aboriginals. Of course, how could aboriginals have such fantastic culture, such refined art, language, and architecture and customs? I mean, it's like that was beyond their own grasp. So they had to come up with some kind of theory. Something had to come in here. It couldn't be these guys, they thought. So maybe it was aliens. I don't know.
Now, why people want to believe aliens over our own people on the planet amazes me too. It's like just yesterday I was talking about the pyramids of Egypt, and someone's like, "Oh yeah, I believe aliens came down and like taught us how to do that." And it's like, why aliens?
Why not something divine? Why not us?
Yeah, why not divinely inspired humans?
Why not a divinity that has been forgotten due to the unnatural conditions of this age?
That's another important point I want to bring up. Scientists now have found evidence that if you find samples of vegetation from thousands of years ago, the nutritional value and the mineral content of that vegetation is thousands of times more potent, right? And so when you read many of the ancient, what they call mythology, right, from all the scriptures of all the different cultures and religions of the world, they speak of towering giants, people as strong as 10,000 elephants. People with memories, they heard something once, they never forgot it. And it all sounds mythological, right? But then you think of it scientifically. If the scientists had proved that the food value back then was thousands of times better, the people eating that must have been thousands of times better. They must have been bigger.
That's a theory, of course. The other theory is that we could be very lame in this age, and usually most of us are, because we're so used to watching things that are very unnatural for us. I mean, we're into politics, MTV. I mean, what else? MTV. I mean, what else could be more good for our consciousness than these sort of things? And indulging our lifestyle in something that teaches us no more than how to fit our own heads into this universe. But that's about as much as we can do. But on to you, man. I think I've said enough.
Cut for a second. Big mystery is who were these ancient people? Who gave this knowledge to all these cultures all around the world? We're not just speaking in Asia or Africa or Europe, but literally the whole planet, every continent, every tribe pretty much speaks of this connection. And so on this show we're going to prove with evidence, linguistic, architectural, cultural, many other proofs, that these ancient people were from the Vedic civilization. Go Vrndavan, Adi Purusha.